Dark Dimension is a disappointing piece of shit, and a lot of what makes this level bad is honestly just how much it misses the point. This is the Lion King 2019 of GD remakes.
The video I just showed you highlights a much larger problem. Generally speaking, critics of level remakes just do not understand the intent behind the levels they're critiquing. It's valid to dislike Dark Dimension, but as Nothing Is Scary's video shows, the way critics evaluate level remakes often misses the point. I'm now going to establish the vision that host Phantom7KS had for Dark Dimension. Once you understand what this remake was actually trying to accomplish, you'll see why most outside criticism falls flat. From the conversations I've had with Phantom, the intent behind Dark Dimension was threefold. First, they wanted to buff Black Blizzard and make the gameplay their own. Second, they aimed to modernize the decoration. Their third goal, and this is the important one, was to expand the storm theming already present. It wasn't to recreate the pacing or progression of the original, as this would only restrict their creativity. They wanted to let their abilities shine, rather than having to second-guess themselves at every turn, constantly wondering if the next element of decoration they added was going to ruin the original feel. These were the Purgatory's three priorities for their Black Blizzard remake. Other considerations one might have for such a project would have to be put on the back burner. Now that we've established the vision behind this project, let's see how well Nothing Is Scary's critiques align with the Purgatory's goals. His first knock against Dark Dimension is that its buffed gameplay lacks the appeal and elegance of Black Blizzard's. He would rather the Purgatory merely redecorate unnerfed Black Blizzard, while the Purgatory wanted to make the gameplay their own. Nothing Is Scary also feels that these buffs, along with the intensified storm theming early in the level, ruin the progression, atmosphere, and overall experience of playing or watching Black Blizzard. It's this talking point where we really see the disconnect between reviewer and creators. For him, maintaining the Black Blizzard experience is the be-all and end-all. For the Purgatory, it was secondary to allowing their creative ideas for storm theming to flourish. This misunderstanding led Nothing Is Scary to accuse the team of missing the point of the original level. He confuses their conscious choice not to marry themselves to Black Blizzard's exact beat-for-beat progression with them supposedly not understanding what made Black Blizzard's progression so appealing. His framing of the issue comes across as condescending towards the creators and ultimately demonstrates a mismatch between the criteria of the review and the goals of the project. When you understand what the vision for a remake like Dark Dimension actually was, you realize that dwelling on whether or not it captures the exact same intensity and progression as Black Blizzard is like judging a fish on its ability to climb a tree. The fish, in this instance, is a neat little remake that sets out to give Black Blizzard a beautiful new storm look, and does so quite well. Nothing Is Scary's review isn't a one-off. This problematic form of level evaluation is the default in discourse surrounding almost every remake of almost every level. Zooming out to the community at large, this tendency for individual players to unilaterally decide what a remake is supposed to be is frighteningly common. Look at the comments on almost any well-known level remake, and you'll find no shortage of people claiming that it fails as a remake or doesn't understand what made the original good. What's really going on here is simply that the creator's vision for their own project doesn't align perfectly with what this commenter would prioritize if they were remaking the same level. Am I saying these people are jerks for not understanding why creators make the choices they do? Of course not. You're allowed to disagree with creative decisions, and it's okay to say, if I were remaking X level, I would focus on this, this, and this instead. That's completely valid. But if you're going to attempt to give constructive criticism on a remake like Dark Dimension, the worst thing you can do is to base said criticism on criteria that don't align with what the creators were actually trying to accomplish. The Geometry Dash creating community would be a much better place if people simply took the time to understand the intent behind levels, and evaluated each one based on whether it lives up to what the creator wanted it to be, not what you wanted it to be. I want to help you understand the various approaches there are to taking inspiration from someone else's level, and how to provide critique that aligns with creative intent, so I'm making a video about all the different types of inspired Geometry Dash levels. If you're watching in the future, that video might be on the end screen already. If not, consider subscribing and turning on notifications so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching!